All right, guys, this is the newest episode of MMA Past, Present, and Future. My name is Keith Shillan. I'm a writer for Sherdog. I'm going to get right into this lineup because we have an absolute loaded lineup. In the third section, we have Dana White Contender Series alumni returning to action this weekend. It's Mana Martinez. In the second segment, we have a girl who's fighting on this weekend's UFC 262 card. It's Gina Mazany. But as you already see on the screen, this guy needs no introduction. I usually would introduce him as everyone's favorite fighter, but let me try to do my best to introduce him. He's a three-time king of Pancrase. He's a former UFC heavyweight champion. He was a coach, commentator, promoter, business owner, TV show host, movie star, and of course, UFC Hall of Famer. He is El Guapo Bas Rutten.
Boom! You know, movie star, I don't know about that because, you know, you're a professional actor if you actually can make a living from acting. That's not me.
It's funny you said that. So you were in a movie, Here Come the Boom. One of my very best friends is a little small, actor. He was actually in the movie with you. He was he was in the immigration classes, a guy named Larry.
Oh, okay.
He was in, he had a very small part, but yeah, he's one of my best friends.
Oh, nice. That's very cool.
Yeah. And he said great things about you. He said he actually talked to you. He actually said he talked to you about the famous Brian Urlacher incident.
Yeah, everybody's asking about that, and I feel bad for Brian because it's his brother who kind of started the whole thing. He had no clue, so he saw this happening, and yeah, he's doing what every brother should do, right? He just comes in to save the brother.
Yeah, of course.
So that's how it started. So. But yeah, let's not talk over that. He got enough heat of that, and I feel bad about it enough already.
Yeah, let bygones be bygones, right? So I did my introduction. I said all these things about you. Do you ever sit back and be like, "Damn, I'm the man"?
No, I never do that. I do sometimes. When you do make an introduction and you hear that, you go like, "Wow, I did a lot." When I go, sometimes somebody's asking for a bio, and then I want to write a big bio, a small bio really fast out, and then I go, wow, it's a lot of stuff. I did a lot of stuff, and all fun stuff. It's like what they always say, if you love what you're doing, you never go to work. Right?
Sure.
And I really literally had that. Inside MMA, 431 shows. I cannot remember one show where I thought in the morning, I wish I could stay home.
Yeah.
Never. I always wanted to go because it's so much fun. Kenny Rice, Jordan Ron Kroc, everybody's there. We meet old fighters, new fighters. It was just awesome. And there's acting and the comedy, the Kevin Can Wait, the sitcom. I mean, that could have been the best job I've ever had. I mean, if that would have gone to a third season, I would have been a series regular. Man, that would have been because you laugh so much all week. It's when you read the script, it's so hard to keep your faces serious while you're doing it and doing it in front of a live audience. I'm very blessed. Let me tell you that.
When you think about your whole career, going back to your first kickboxing match or your first time MMA, did you ever picture? I mean, you're a true pioneer. I mean, people say it all the time. Did you ever picture the sport of MMA being on ESPN or guys having Twitter wasn't around, but like million Twitter followers and millionaires. Did you ever think it would be this big?
Yeah. I remember I got interviewed in '93 after my second or third fight that I had in Japan. And they asked me, how big do you see this go? I said, I see this as the movie Rollerball. I don't know if you're too old or too young for that.
Yeah.
Okay, because some people, especially the very old man with James Caan and all these people, there's like violence is gone from the streets. And this is one sport where everybody has an outlet, and that's rollerball. People die and then forget. Now, of course, MMA is not. People are going to die. But, I thought that the people need it. They need an outlet. They need to see two people, two guys, two gals. But it doesn't really matter, who have great technique and fight each other. There's something about it, what they always say, everybody is tuning in. You can watch the best soccer match on the planet. If a fight breaks out, all the attention goes to the fight. That's simply the way it is. So people are always intrigued with who's the best guy in the world. So, and I told them, I say, in 4 years from now, this was in '93. So I predicted in '97, it will be the biggest thing ever. Now, I was about 9 years off,
sure.
Because it became 2006, I guess, with The Ultimate Fighter and the phenomenal job that UFC did with that. And boom, it got big. But I knew it because, we always talk about, you always interrogate who's the best fighter in the world. And they go like, oh, Mike Tyson. I said, no. Listen, I love Mike. He's a freaking animal. But
of course.
The best boxer. He's not the best fighter. You know, you go like a guy like that, there's no way I'm going to stand with him. You know, I will clinch up really freaking fast if I can.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that he can stop takedowns really well because he's got this freaking athletic ability. But you see what I mean? That's the fighter is the guy who knows it all. And,
that's right.
And that's why I knew this was going to be big.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned The Ultimate Fighter, as so many people credit that for saving the sport or making the sport much bigger. But do you think the pioneers, guys like yourself, guys like, think about like someone like Tito Ortiz, or we call the Dark Ages, was one of the faces. You were around the same time. Frank Shamrock, Hoist Creator, whoever, Sakuraba, all these guys. Do you feel like these guys get enough credit? Because if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't have reached The Ultimate Fighter. The UFC would have folded before that.
You know, it's what goes in people's minds. You know, you're out of sight, out of heart, right? It's a saying they say in Holland, and unfortunately it is like that. And some of these fighters, I think, truly believe, you know, maybe they couldn't start an after career, you know, and now they're not doing well. You know, and then to be on top of that being forgotten, that's not cool. You know, and for me, I don't really mind anymore. You know, I just like to be the guy, the funny guy. Yeah. You know, if they can say at the end, he could fight a bit as well. I'm good enough with that. I don't need that anymore. But guys like Frank Shamrock, I think he should be in the UFC.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's a 5-time freaking champion. I mean, let's face it. You know, I mean, they set the differences to the side and just induct him into the UFC.
Absolutely.
It's very important. And it's the same with Tito Ortiz. You know, I mean, look what he did. I mean, he was the first smart guy who actually became a heel.
That's right.
A bad guy in order to get more people in, and he played his part very well. You know, and Tito, I always tell this story because that's how we connected. It was after a fight, after Frank Shamrock's fight, that he lost in the last round, and we were having the same bus back to the airport. And he sits there, and while we're driving back, he jumps next to me. And he says, "Man, can I ask you some questions?" And he says, "How do you prepare for 30-minute fights over in Japan? You know, where do your stamina comes from?" So I start telling him what I do for stamina, you know, and I love it when people like that come to you, because I already love Tito, you know, and then just be open. It's like me. If I see a guy with a lot of talent, I go over, you know, and at that time, I just was in great shape. So he knew he had to ask me about it. And then he became the person known for being always in shape.
That's right. I was just going to say that. Like when he faced Vladimir Manchenko, that was a guy that could match his wrestling, but Tito just outworked him with his cardio and his pace. Yeah, I think that was a really great point. So
and you see Tito grew all over the years. Look at what he did with Chuck Liddell at the very end.
That's right.
You know, his striking got better and better. This is a guy who never stopped learning. Yeah. You know, and I just enjoy that when I see that kind of stuff. You know, a guy who's never too old to think, oh, I got it. No, you never got it. This is a sport that you never master, ever. That's why I really I miss ground fighting, rolling, because my neck, I have 4 neck surgeries. My knees are killing me if I have no cartilage on my kneecaps. It's a very painful thing. But that I miss the most, because every single workout there would be something that I say, oh, man, I had no clue. This is so cool. You figure something new out. You know, it's endless. And that's what I miss about the ground fighting.
Yeah, I remember you talking about when you first started. Obviously, you came from the kickboxing background. You came from, I think, a taekwondo background even before that. And then you really learned the ground game as you were going. And that was different, because when you first started, there was so many specialists. You know, you had your kickboxers, you had your wrestlers, you had all these different styles. But you were one of the first ones to actually blend them, correct?
Yeah, but you know, I'm a sore loser, and I lost the 3rd time by way of submission, and I hated it. I didn't want to know it, and then I said to myself, listen, it's either I'm going to learn this game or I'm going to stop. I mean, this is stupid. I might be a champion one time, but then I lose it right away because of a submission. It would be stupid. You know, this is part of the sport. Learn the freaking thing. And then I start brainwashing myself for a very short amount of time, though, because I never knew the power of submissions. Like when you talk to me right now, they say, what is more powerful, submission or striking? And I got to go with the submissions. I mean, you will be able, if you're a good submission fighter, to dislocate any joint and break any bone in a person's body.
Yeah.
That's a pretty freaking big power
That's
to
scary.
have. You know? So once I started rolling, and suddenly, you know, I got my guy in a submission, an armbar, but he picked up very smart. I had one sparring partner for 90% of all my fights.
Really?
Right? And I started late. I had no teachers. I was just teaching myself, and I just watched fights. But then suddenly I became obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And because I saw the possibilities. And suddenly a guy got the bug, and I started doing it 2-3 times a day. I was dreaming about it. I had Post-its everywhere. I would wake up in the night wake up my wife because I would dream a submission, put her in the submission, ask her where it hurts her shoulder, right? Write it down. Next day in training, I mean, I was obsessed with it. And you know, when you become obsessed with something, you do it a lot, and when you do it a lot, you become good. You become good.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. I never lost a fight anymore. Just so that decision made me never lose a fight anymore. So that's why I went out on a high top. And also, I'm fortunate when people say, but you went to 22 fights undefeated. I go, yeah, but you know what? I would have been the same knucklehead as everybody else. You know, I thankfully got injuries, which I hated at the time.
Sure.
But it forced me to stop. And now looking back on it, I'm very happy this happened to me because now I didn't tarnish my career at the very end with like a whole bunch of losses because, you know, you keep on fighting. You think you're a tough guy. You want to keep on fighting, but you're fighting guys half your age.
Yeah.
And they're just better. They were born. They were 8 years old. They were all starting doing MMA. They didn't. That's because something. It's all a sport now, you know.
Yeah, it's sad. We were talking about that. I also do a recap show for Sherdog, and we were talking about with Donald Cerrone this past weekend, and just one of those ones. It's like that time is going to come for everybody. So you're one of the guys that you never had that. You finished with 22 straight. So let me ask you this. Fans love doing this, and I know you're going to sidestep this because you're El Guapo. You're going to sidestep it as good as possible. Fans love to rank. Oh, this guy's the best. This guy's the best of this era. This guy, like, where do you think you rank? I mean, you have one of the most unbelievable runs in history. Like, where do you rank all time? Do you even think about stuff like that?
No. You know what I tell people? Oh, you with an interview, they go like, okay, besides yourself, who's the best fighter? Don't do that, man. Don't do that. I'm not. You know, and I never was because we didn't fight everybody. I always say this: if I'm in the top 100. I'll be a very happy guy.
Well, come on. You're obviously in the top 100.
No, think about this. 100 people and 7 billion. You're one of that 100 group. Dude, I would make me extremely happy.
Yeah.
You know, and in 30 more years from now, I'm going to be happy I'm in the top 1,000. You see what I mean? But
That's
I don't
a great
need
point.
top 10. I don't need to be there. Don't worry, because I didn't face everybody, you know? I never fought Fedor or Emelianenko. That would have been a crazy fight.
Yeah.
Right? That would have been very hard on me. You know, all these guys. So you can never say Vanderlei Silva. I always wanted to fight him, and you know. So unless I didn't do that, you know.
You two guys going at it would have been insane. You and Vanderlei in his prime. So you obviously, let's transition to Pride. You were the commentator. You and Stephen Quattros and Mara Ronell. You were the face of Pride for a long time. The color commentator. You added the funny with it, and you made it very loose. Why Pride ended a long time ago. People still talk about it all the time. Talk about the glory days. Why can't people let go of Pride? Like, why are people so connected to an organization like unlike any other organization?
It was the rules that they had. It was, you know, and I use this as an example also. Dana White came to check it out with Chuck Liddell because he was going to enter into the middleweight tournament. And he was there a fight before. And I remember when the opening started and they did these packages on these fighters and there's the big screens and it's like, and I'm looking back and he's like this. His mouth is open and he catches me catching him. And I go, huh? And he goes, what the heck? Yeah. This is insanity. I mean, you have to understand, a small show was 45,000 people live.
That's insane.
You know, that was the Saitama Super Arena, which you also could expand to 48,000 people.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, and everybody was there, and the respect, and all the fighters want to fight there. It is so fun to fight at a place where everybody shuts the hell up.
Yeah.
They understand there that you're the pro, and you probably know it better than them. They don't need what you should do, you see. And that, I gotta tell you, that Japan made me the fighter that I was. Because in Thai boxing, if you look back at Thai boxing, I always tell this: you have these dojo fighters, right? They're really good in the dojo, but they put them under pressure, they can't perform. Now, I wasn't like Thai boxing. Now, the lucky thing for me was that I just had an enormous amount of power, and I would just slaughter my guys. But if I would fight a good guy, in Holland, a 5-round fight, and we'll go to the 3rd round, it was going to be hard for me. I didn't have connection yet that I had in the gym. In the gym, I worked circles around everybody. I was great. Yeah. But I couldn't under pressure. It was the nerves, whatever it was. And then when I went to Japan, that's when everything from day one, because it was a 30-minute fight, which I found out on the day, there's 1 round. I'm all happy 1 round, but they say 30 minutes. I go, holy shit. Yeah. So I'm acting, of course, like, oh, I'm going to love this. And then my guy was 38 pounds heavier than I am. And I go, like, gee, what am I doing? I said, there's no weight class? No. Okay, good. Yeah, how many rounds? 1 round. Oh, great. How many minutes? 30. Okay, great. But I looked at my manager. I go, dude, what are we doing here? I realized, okay, I got to be I got to hold back, because if I explode like I would do in Thai boxing, and the first 1.5 minutes I can't put him away, I got 28.5 minutes more to go, that could be a problem. And the Japanese, and I was a Japanese guy, are known to be tough guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay, so I put these big R's on my hand, which start for rustig, R-U-S-T-I-G, which is coincidentally starts with an R, relax, to stay calm, stay calm, stay calm. And the things I did and thought during that first fight, it blew my mind. I was so in tune. Everything was perfect. It was exactly like I was training, even better. That's how good I felt. That's when I really started fighting the correct way. So yeah, Thai boxing, I was just a lot of anger and a lot of power, but I wasn't a Peter Ertz or an Ernesto Hoost or Rob Kamen or Robin Deckers, you know. Those are the real good strikers. Nicky Holskin now. Like, we're talking about the liver shots, and every time when somebody gets dumped with a liver shot, I get attacked.
The best.
But I go, good. I stopped maybe 7 guys by body shots. But you look at a guy like Nicky Holskin, I mean, what, 20?
Yeah, of course.
In the Masters, see what I mean?
But in fairness, that's strictly a stand-up battle. They're not worried about Funaki taking you down, and you know, him and all his submissions, or Shamrock and his leg locks, and you know, it's a little different to compare. It's, yeah, obviously, but I understand where you're coming from with that. So you go through this gauntlet in Pancrase, fighting the Shamrocks, fighting Funaki, fighting just legends of the sport and pioneers, guys that I don't think get enough credit. Then you come over to the UFC, and right away you're the man. You get thrown into the wolves. You win the 2 fights in, you're the heavyweight champion of the world. Yeah. Did it feel like an equal? Like, when you came in, did you see UFC equal to Pancrase? Did you view it a little higher? Did you view it a little lower? Like, what did you think?
Well, I think a lot of Pancrase is a small organization, but I think we produced at that time already like 5 or 6 UFC champions. At that time, now the farther down the road were more guys. Okay, with George Barnett even, Maury Smith became a champion. I mean, Frank Shamrock became a super champion.
Yeah.
Guy was a champion. Takahashi did really well. That was not for a fight, but yeah. I mean, all guys, Ken Shamrock, needless to say. You see, and all these guys, and I beat those guys in Pancrase.
I know.
And they wanted me to go to the UFC. John Peretti at the time goes. He came to Japan to watch me fight. And then after the fight, he asked me, he says, hey, we would love to have you in the UFC, because he was the matchmaker at the time. And I say, yeah, listen, I got 3 more fights on the contract. I would love to go to the UFC. I always wanted to come up with the UFC song. That was my main goal. How stupid is this? Bum, 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 bum. That song.
Yeah.
I love so much, and everybody had to come up. I go, man, I wish that I could come up one time with that song.
Yeah.
You know, main reason that I really wanted to do it. In the beginning, I didn't want to do it. You know, when Ken Shamrock told me that there was no referee and nobody could step in, he said to me, is there something you want to do? I said, no. He said, why not? I said, because there's idiots out there. You know, if I get knocked out and the guy jumps on top of me and he hits me like 6, 8 more times, I mean, that could be, I can't speak to my kids anymore, you know?
Yeah.
If there's a referee to pull him off, yeah, sign me up. I would love to try it. But no referee was not able to step in.
With a 400-pound sumo wrestler hitting you? Yeah.
That's what I mean. And then thankfully, Big Joe McCarthy, he put his foot down after the second show. He said, listen, it's either I'm going to step in or I'm going to stop. I'm going to quit, because I don't want to do it. Somebody's going to get hurt. I mean, He told me the story that Tank Abbott, he got annihilated, and he's looking at the corner from Tank, because they can throw in the towel. And they all looked at John, and they turned their backs to John. And then after the fight, John went to them and he said, what the heck are you doing, guys? He goes, no, you don't understand. If we would throw the towel, Tank told us that he's going to beat the crap out of us.
Yeah. And he probably would have.
And he would have.
Yeah.
And that's why John said, okay, this is it. It's either my rules or we're going to stop. And thankfully they listened to him, because this guy was instrumental in all the rules and everything. That mixed martial arts, he made that term. You know, I mean, he started all that stuff. So yeah, he's a very wise guy. We're very fortunate with him.
Yeah. One guy you fought in the UFC that you've been linked for forever is Kevin Randleman. You had one of the most historic fights of all time, a fight that people. You have your I mean, you know better than anybody. You have your group of people say, oh, Bas won. He did all the damage. The other ones say Randleman, oh, he had all the top control. But what I love about it is, instead of getting mixed up in that, like, you guys are rivals, but you talk about Kevin like you got best friends. Like, talk to me about that. Like, how did you guys, who most people view as rivals, end up being so close later on in years?
You know, we're the same guys. You know, I'm a hothead, he's a hothead, but we're really just good for people. And he has the same thing. It's even better. This guy is just a really unbelievable guy. And, you know, the first time I met him, this was the day before the fight, and I'm going to the second floor, whatever. I don't remember. I'm going into the elevator. There's nobody in the elevator. He's in the elevator.
Yeah.
And the elevator closes, and now we're both going up or down, whatever it was. And I remember I'm looking in the you can see yourself in the mirror, and I can see himself as well in the door. It's shining, and I have a smile on my face. He has a smile on his face. And
it's awkward.
I say, I want to wish you good luck for tomorrow. I go, oh, cool, man. Yeah, you too. Good. And then he said, well, if you promise to keep your feet on the floor, I won't take you down.
Yeah, bullshit.
I go, okay, I'll think about that. Let me think about that. Okay, yeah, man, hey, good to see you. We'll see you tomorrow. And he leaves. So now we're in the fight, and he did a smart game. It was very smart of him, because my game plan was not to kick at all, because I knew if I'm going to kick, he's going to take me down.
You can take it out, yeah.
Wrestling. Listen, he's such a good wrestler. Even if I don't kick, he still take me down, because my wrestling sucked. And I always said that to everybody. But anyway, so the first thing he does in the fight is he slaps high, like, kick me.
Yeah.
So now I'm confused. I go like, wait a minute. So what I thought, oh, wait a minute. He thinks that I'm going to give him a low kick. So what? I'm going to kick a low kick and then switch it into a front kick. If he comes in, I'll kick square in the head, right? Because if he shoots. So I did that. I made the fake and I turned it into a front kick, and he backed out. Yeah. And I go, wait a minute. He's backing out for my kicks. Let's start kicking, because I never expected that. And then the first kick I threw, he took me down. So he took me out of my game plan without even knowing it. So, and then later in Japan, you know, we clicked. In Japan, you had these with the Pride Fighting Championships, and all the fighters will tell you the best thing there was at the Pride Fighting Championships was the breakfast at the Tokyo.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Shinjuku, if you ever go to Japan, get to that hotel. That breakfast, you've never had. I traveled the world.
You know who told me that? Matt Lindland told me he was cornering Dan Henderson, and he told me the same thing about the breakfasts. That's right.
Oh, and the good thing is, because with the jet lag in America, so everybody's up early.
Yeah.
Like let's say 5:30 or 6 o'clock, the restaurant opens. There's already a line of fighters waiting, because we're all up early because of the jet lag.
Yeah.
And then, you know, all these tables, they get pushed together, and now we're sitting with 20 guys, fighters, trainers, ring guys, everybody, cutmen. And people telling stories, cracking jokes, dude. That was a good time.
There was a respect there.
Everybody's laughing. You could hear outside when you would walk in, you hear people laughing, because everybody was sitting together and enjoying.
I think another thing that probably made that more seem like a family atmosphere is the fact that there wasn't social media back then.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there wasn't guys trying to sell themselves on social media. You know, you get a lot of guys with fake beefs just to sell fights. You didn't need a fake beef between Shootbox and a Brazilian top team. You didn't need it. That goes back to jiu-jitsu and lucha libre. That was going on for 50 years before those guys were born, you know? Yeah. So,
but there's also, that's a great thing that you say, but those guys, when they meet each other, there's a lot of respect.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what I always like, because they know the gyms were like for the outside world, it looks like you hate each other, but they weren't, you know. As fighters, they all, you know, if a fighter gets hurt, and it doesn't really matter, you know, even if you don't like him, other fighters will go and say, hey, man, I'm very sorry, but, you know, they always team up. It's very rare to find a fighter that doesn't like other guys, like other fighters, because we all go through the same crap. We all have the injuries, and we got to keep on fighting and keep on training. We cannot do this, you know. We all in the same boat, and it's just great to do. That's what I always said, you know. If people say, "Oh, Bas sucked," I don't really care. Yeah. But if the fighters would say,
sure,
you know, like,
and they don't,
say, he was not that good. I said that would sting me, you know. People, you know, that's how people are. A lot of them, you know, they just say things.
Yeah. Have you ever now? You're very respectful. You seem like you get along with everybody. Everybody loves Bas. You ever do an interview and someone kind of piss you off? And I don't want you to name any names, because I know you wouldn't do that anyway. But you ever just sit back and be like, dude, I would whoop your ass. Even now, I'd still whoop your ass.
I did have, that I would say, I said, listen, I don't like the way it's going. You should stop asking these questions, or we'll stop the interview, you know, and I'll be very nice about it. You know, there's certain things that, you know, and this is so stupid. I was bullied as a kid, right, because of my skin disease and severe asthma. I was the leper in school. That's what they called me. And I had to wear special gloves. And it was horrible. I would make a fist. It would burst. Pus would come out. It was disgusting. So kids were afraid of me. So I got bullied a lot and on a daily basis. And things that they said to me, I always tell people, I say, watch out what you say to people. Words, you need to be very very careful about the words that you say. You can crush somebody's entire life with one line. If it comes from a person they respect, and the father says he's a great dancer and he's holding it up, but the father comes home with a headache, and then, he sees his kid dancing with the music. You're a stupid dancer or something. That can take him away from everything. Crush. That's it. And if the father doesn't come back and say, hey, listen, man, I had a headache. I came in and he explains the situation. But most of the time, they don't even realize they did it.
Yeah.
And now their life is gone. So now with me, that's the same thing. I still have certain things that you tell me that I say, I don't want to talk about that. Because
it brings back stuff.
Bring me back. And I did this 40 years ago. You would think I have it under control, right? Which I do have a lot. But there's still some things that I go, you don't say that again. And then they look at me because then I get angry. I get angry.
Has anybody, I think about things that I've done as a child. And I've been picked on, but I also picked on. I'll be honest, sometimes I was an asshole. And I regret it now. Because I look at my children and I think I would never want anybody to pick up my kid.
Yep.
Because whatever. Has any of those guys ever reached out to you and apologized or anything?
No, nobody. But I had a list. I had a list of all the guys who bullied me. And as soon as I had my fighting skills, I went after all these guys. There were guys who were underneath saying, please, I don't even remember it, what I said. I said, that's the worst, bomb, and I would knock him out. I was so angry, I had so much hate towards these guys on a daily basis, constantly. And, hey, leper, hey, this, watch out your ears don't fall off, watch out your feet. I mean, constantly, And it's you get there. I remember one moment, they wanted to fight me, and I just saw a Tarzan movie or whatever it was, and we were standing under a tree, and there was a branch hanging. So I jumped up to the branch, and I wanted to kick him like in the movie. The branch broke, and I fell on the guy. And they started laughing. And this was that was the drop. I was 12. I was in the 6th grade. And I remember running home, and I got my steak knife, a big kitchen knife, and I started running back to school. And thankfully, because I truly believe I would have stabbed somebody at the time, I was so out of control angry at that moment. And my mother saw me run through the front window, and she started running after me, and she stopped me before I was at school. And my school was half a mile away from my home.
Really?
So I was way there. I go, he's going to get it. And that's why I feel so for these school shooters. You shouldn't feel for them. No. They've been pushed. You don't have a clue.
You don't know the story.
You don't know the story. It's very easy from the outside to say things like that, but God knows what happened to them, what's been said, and what's going on at home. And
Sure.
It's stupid. It should have never
Absolutely.
happened. I'm not saying that, but I say I can understand where the anger comes from, because that moment, I don't know what I would have done. I might have stabbed the guy. I don't know. Maybe at the end I wouldn't have done it, but it was a very scary moment. I think about it a lot, actually.
Can I ask you this, and please don't take that as an insult if I offend you. You talk about having a skin disease. When did that stop? When did it clear up?
That around 17,
I
think, around that time, because I started getting a little bit more health. It went hand in hand. I had severe asthma, so every 5 weeks an asthma attack, 7 days in bed, not able to eat because 24/7, right, for 7 days, completely gone. And if I had that asthma, my eczema looked much better. But then when I had no asthma, then my eczema was really bad. So
really?
Whatever is, and a lot of kids have this right now, actually.
Really?
It goes hand in hand, so to say. And then once I started training a little bit more, I did track and field, and I started getting a little bit more healthy. My lungs started a little bit more healthy, and slowly but surely it started going away. When you see me fighting in Japan, when I fought from Holland, you'll see, if you look good, little spots everywhere that I had on my arms here, and I still had some spots. And once I moved to America, here, California, I think the weather, within 2 months it was completely cleared. Everything was gone. I started, but really bad, till about 17 now.
And again, I apologize for getting personal, but did you have scars from it? Or was that still the eczema?
No. The good thing that comes with it is I could get cut, and a day and a half later you can't see the cut anymore.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's healed. Because that's what my skin was doing all day long. It was healing. You have to understand that my entire family would send in old bed sheets, So my mother could rip them up into bandages, and she would have to mummify me. That's what we called it. Every night, putting cortisone creams everywhere, and then she would put the bandages around me. In the middle of the night, I would scratch everything off, and it would itch, it would bleed because I couldn't stand the itching, and then she had to do it again. So it was constantly repairing itself. And later in life, that became good with injuries and with everything else. I recoup really fast. The hangovers, whatever it is, it's like a blink. My wife's crushed for a week with the flu. My one night, I'm really bad, like shaking in bed, but the next day completely good again. So that's a good thing that came out of it.
Yeah. Do you speak to anybody who's been bullied? Like, what do you say to these kids? Because obviously they look up to you. You're Bas Rutten. What do you say to these guys?
I say easy 1,000 emails from people, who have their kids who have to go through the same stuff as I do. And then if I have advice for them, I have a whole paper cut so I can copy and paste. And I say, listen, this is a copy and paste because I've been explaining, but this is the way what to avoid when you have asthma and eczema. There's certain things that you should not do. Like our whole home we had no carpets, everything was nylon or whatever. Even the curtains, they had to be a special fabric because it couldn't hold pollen or whatever it was, the dust. So the whole house was built for me pretty much because I couldn't have certain. I couldn't lay. Everybody had a nice, how you call it? In the early days, you slept on the blankets, but then with the feathers inside. How do you call those things?
Blankets with feathers inside? Yeah,
everybody has it now. It's just nobody has regular blankets anymore. Everything is now. Yeah, it's really stupid. But they would make me allergic, so I couldn't do it. And everybody had those things, and I really wanted to sleep on them because it was so cool, but I couldn't have that. So yeah.
What did your parents say when you got into these fights, though? Like once you started, now you're on your revenge tour. What was your parents saying?
They didn't know. I didn't tell them I was bullied because once I started, I saw a Bruce Lee movie, Enter the Dragon, and I realized, he's a little guy. And I was 12. Yeah. And I came home and I told my mom that I wanted to do martial arts. And they said no, because they are very conservative. They wanted, no, nothing. They thought it was violence. It took me 2 years to convince them. Finally, they allowed me. And then I started training with the adults because I had this neighbor girl who was a very beautiful girl. And she had the cool guy in town, Xavier was his name. Everybody was afraid of that guy. And he took me under his wing because, he knew I was bullied. Yeah. And we went to the adult taekwondo classes. And within months, I started beating the adults. So then I overheard him speaking about me in the dressing room, and as a kid, when you hear negativity all the time, you start believing that. But once you hear an adult start thinking, man, that kid's really good, he just dropped Jack with a backing. Yeah. Laughing. So, and that's when maybe that day or the day later, I got in a fight with our biggest bully in the school. And I knocked him out, one punch, out. Face flat, nose and flat, so the police came because he had to go to the hospital. That meant that the police showed up at my mom's doorstep, of course, and they immediately took me off because I was confirming that martial arts was a violence. But I never told them I was bullied because my mom had so much work with me. I was a crazy kid too, ADHD. I'm still having a hard time to control that. I was the class clown because nobody liked me. I was afraid of me. So what do? You'll be the guy that
joke.
Annoying guy. If you can't get it the positive way, you're going to get it the negative way.
Yeah. And it's a defense mechanism.
That's it. And if my dad would have known that I was bullied, 100% he would have kept me under martial arts. But I didn't want to bother them with it. They had enough trouble. I figured I was trying to hurt him.
Is it because you think it would hurt them even more than it hurt you? That kid get bullied? I mean, you have children. Like, if my kid was bullied, I think it would hurt me even more than it hurts them because I love them more than they love themselves.
Yep. No, 100%. That's why I felt really bad for them because she did so much. I didn't want her to carry that as well. Yeah. It was enough prep she did for me. So
when they took you out of that briefly, how did you get back in? Like, how did you convince them to let you continue to do it?
Not 20 years when I left home.
Yes.
I started illegally. I started slipping into boxing classes here and there with my parents. No, my friend was I had two other friends, Otto and Paul. And Otto was a guy with a big head, and he was bullied for that. And Paul was a guy who was overweight, and he was bullied for that. But once we started training together, Otto, the guy with the big head, got a growth spurt. He became like 6'3" or 6'4". So it was a proportion compared to his body, so he was good.
Yeah.
started boxing, and he started actually doing really well in boxing. He started losing weight. Oh, he became good. Now I started training with those guys, slipping in the workouts here and there, and slowly but surely we call each other the what is it? The champions. We are the champions. This is a funny story. Because we were after every fight, because they also had a list for bullies, so we went after everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We were so afraid of, and now it was so fun to see. It was reversed. They were afraid of us. And we were like, whoa. So then one time, there was this big fight in a nightclub. The Pyramid was the name of the nightclub. It's still there. I was just in Holland like 2 months ago, and I still saw it there. I don't know if it's open, but on the outside.
Yeah.
And it was Carnival. And in Carnival Holland, everybody's dressing up like the footage. Everybody's crazy stuff. And there was suddenly this girl gets hit in the face, and she falls on the ground. But I catch her, and I say, "Oh, whoa, watch out!" I say, and somebody wanted to attack her, so I put myself in between. I say, "Whoa, go sit down here, please." I'm looking around, and then I get hit, and without thinking, I hit the guy back, bang! And then suddenly there's this group, and we were 17. And these guys were like 25 and older. I remember one guy was dressed up as a guy who was in prison. And he had those stripes on. And I remember biceps, and he probably did it on purpose, was torn here. You know, the material from his shirt was torn on his biceps because he was so big. You know, and I go, oh shit, we're not gonna win this. So we ran.
Yeah.
And we started running. But so after every fight, we would always go, bam, bam, we are the
champions. How many?
We're running, and we're going into a thing in the door. We're going down we're somewhere underground. We're sitting there, and people start coming slowly but surely. And one of my friends goes like, we are there. Nobody said anything, you know. So we started laughing. No, we were really small at that time. We were no champions. We ran for our lives. It was hilarious.
It's funny because I've seen you do so many interviews, and it's like every interview you always come up with another story that like no one's ever heard. There's another, like how many, I mean, I've heard legendary. I mean, you're one of the guys, but like Renzo Gracie's been in a gazillion street fights. Pedro Hizzo, they call him the king of the streets for the reason. Like, if you had to guess, how many barroom street fights have you been in?
You know, not that much. I always said it because they say, oh, they have 200 street fights. I go, oh, no, I never had that. But the things that I always did is like, I will make it more memorable. Listen, it's very hard to get a fight with me. It really is.
Yeah.
But if you push it to it's a fight, that means I did everything in my power to try to avoid this.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight. That's the last thing. I'd rather give you a beer. But then once you start doing that, they think you're afraid, and then they start taking it up. Okay, you want to take it next level? And then I will make sure, because most of the fights that happened was when I was a bouncer. You know, and then if they do that in front of everybody, well, if I don't do anything, the next week more people are going to do it. So, and then I would make it violent. Then I would just go to town. And headbutting and just like doing stuff that I go, shoot, I don't ever want to fight this guy. You know, I just set an example at that moment. And those stories are the stories that people know because it was so crazy, you know, and it looks like a lot, but I don't know, 35 maybe?
Yeah, that's still a lot.
I'm a bouncer also. And you have to understand, they asked me to be a bouncer not because I could fight, it's because I'm good
you
with
could
people.
Talk. Yeah.
From the 10 things that are happening, one time maybe they would fight because I would break it down. Hey, what happened? He looked at my wife. Looked at your wife. Yeah. Did he touch her? No. Did he talk to her? No. Dude, that's a compliment. I mean,
you got a beautiful wife. Go home with her.
They see him look. Yeah, you got a beautiful wife. It's better than he looks at your wife and he goes, oh, you know. And then they start laughing when you do that.
Yeah.
I go, come on, man. He goes, yeah, this is stupid. I said, what are you drinking? A beer? What do you do? Okay, beer, poop, shake hands. And it was solved. You know, we just break it down because all the fights that happen when you drink, they're the dumbest things ever.
Yeah.
You know, it's literally like that. He looked at my wife. So that's a compliment. Once he goes and grabs her, you know, that's a different thing. You know, but most of the time that's not the case. People are just hot-headed. So break it down. They know it. Give them a beer. Everybody happy.
Yeah.
And,
it's the same. It's the same if you pulled up with a motorcycle. Like, oh, that's a nice motorcycle. Well, you don't fight the guy because he says, oh, that's a nice motorcycle. Or oh, that's a nice car. You don't fight the guy. You just say, oh, thanks, man. We got the same taste. You know?
We had a guy that I know. They got in a freaking fight. This guy comes in and he wants to take on everybody. And one of his friends is a little drunk. And he looks at the guy who's screaming and he goes, dude. And the guy stops. He goes, What kind of shirt is that? That's a badass shirt. And the guy goes, oh, it's like a Lululemon. And the fight was stopped. He just diverted him.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it on purpose. He was just drunk. And he said, man, that's a cool shirt. What is the brand of that shirt? I would like to know it.
Yeah.
Problem was solved. So, yeah, if you can do it like that, do that.
Yeah, I would say most MMA fighters generally, not obviously not everybody, because obviously it's a big community, but most MMA fighters don't get into fights, even though they can absolutely destroy pretty much everybody in the room. It's because they don't have to prove anything. Like I heard George St. Pierre talk about his fight where someone was trying to challenge him and he kind of like backed down. You're like, George St. Pierre back down fights? Like, no, because George St. Pierre beats the best fighters in the world. He could beat up no-name guy in the bar. It's just not worth it.
It's most of the time the guys who bring a bad name to it are the guys who are not good or just started.
Yeah.
And the guys who Google me, the guys who say, I'm a cage fighter. You're not a cage, you're a mixed martial artist, dude. Stop that word, cage fighting. It's so stupid, such attraction. You're not. Don't have a business card with your pump body up there that says professional cage fighter. You're stupid when you do that. Don't do that. It's those guys who don't have a light on them, and then apparently to get a light on them is to fight on the street. But you have to understand, if I train you for 6 months, you'll clean out 99% of the street.
That's right.
Because how many people are training? And
very few.
Sport, I always say. I go Shaquille O'Neal. Okay, let's shoot hoops. Okay, who are you going to put your money on? On him or on me?
Yeah.
I go, well, that's the way it is with us in fighting. This is what we do all day long. These guys train 3 times a day. These new guys.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight Amanda Nunes.
That's right. I've already kept you way over time, but I want to ask this question before I let you go. You just talked about training people. There was a time, and I apologize if you're still doing it, but there was a time where you were training a lot of people. Some of the top fighters came under you. Like I remember watching King of the Cage, and Bas Rutten was in this guy's corner, and I'm like, whoa, this guy's got Bas Rutten. And I remember like writing the guy's name. I'm like, I got to watch this guy. And it was Duane Ludwig. Remember when you used to... Are we going to see you in the corner anymore? Like, is that something you'd want to do? Do more cornering?
It depends. If there's... I have this new guy he's an actor. I'm not going to mention his name yet, but we hit it off, and he pulled me back into fighting. Like striking, I can do only because of my knees.
Sure.
And I haven't been on strike, and I'm not sparring because if I get hit in the wrong way in my neck, it's I get 4 fusions, front and back plates everywhere. So it's I don't want to take the risk. But I really enjoy this guy because whatever I tell him, he goes, I go, dude. He says, yeah, but why didn't anybody explain it to me like you explained it to me? And he just does what I say. And he's freaking, he's a freak. His kicks, his power, punching power, it's sick. And on the ground, he's the same. You show him something and he's got it. You see, so a guy like that, and then I have, of course, a few other fighters in my gym that I really enjoy. I help those guys and I will be in the corner. But unfortunately, I cannot train them 2 times or 3 times a day anymore. I don't have that. So once everything opens up, I'm teaching my fight class probably on Saturday again at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
We got everything coming in. But that's it. And then during the week, I will hold focus with the Thai pads and I do all that for them.
Sure.
But really be there like a trainer should, it's very hard for me now.
It's tough. But you still got to feel good when you see your students teaching. Like I said, there's just one. You've had many students, but like the first one I thought of was when I saw Duane Ludwig at King of the Cage and you were cornering him and you were talking so highly of his strike. And now he is one of the best coaches in the world and his guys are winning championships. Like you got to feel my knowledge I gave him, obviously he learned some things on his own on the way, but a lot of the stuff you taught him is now going down to the 3rd generation. Like, you got to feel good when you see that, right?
I'm so proud of him. What he did. Look when he went to Alpha Male. Look at the statistics, what he did,
Absolutely.
like within a year. Knockout, everything went up. You know what went down? Takedown attempts. Because they like to knock out people
right.
on their feet. That's the only thing that went down. Instead of like 5 times a round, it was like 1.7.
Yeah.
They were knocking people out. 100% more knock. 100%.
Chad Mendes was a boxer, certainly.
And power. He's got so much power. Freaking Chad Mendes. When he hit Conor, and Conor didn't even flinch with that punch, you remember?
Yeah.
I go,
absolutely.
Conor's got a chin. That was a hard punch. And Chad can hit. So, and
that was right after, if you remember, that was right after the Jose Aldo fight that a lot of people thought he won. Yep. A lot of people thought Aldo should have won. Mendes should have been the champion. So, but this isn't the Chad Mendes. I just thought that was funny. One last question before I let you go. When we gonna see you next big screen? Like when are we gonna see you? What should we be watching for?
I'm working on something. I had this idea for a TV show for a long time, and it's action comedy, of course. I need the comedy in there, and I think it's a really great idea. And I found a guy now, and we're going to see if we can pitch it both together. That's the actor I'm working with.
Oh, the actor that you're training.
Yeah, he's a big, he's a really good actor also. So I'm hoping that we can do that. That would be a dream job, because then we do comedy, action. We laugh, we do kick-ass stuff. It would be great. There was
any little romance in there for you?
A what?
Any little romance in there for you? You know, like a Halle Berry or Charlize Theron or something. What do we got?
No, I'm all good. You know, for me, that's I'm a lot of people don't know, and it's weird, but I'm a pretty devout Catholic.
Okay.
So back like 6 years ago into the faith, and not because they right away. I was the same guy, Catholic. Oh, pedophile priest. The people. That's what people are. But
I'm a Christian myself, so you don't have to say it. Yeah.
It's just bad people doing bad things. Jesus, if we would live like him, we wouldn't be in the trouble we're in right now. Let me tell you that.
That's right.
Okay, so I try to live as good as possible.
Yeah.
No, I don't swear anymore. You don't hear me do profanity anymore. I try to cut everything out. I have a real system I have down. I even try to do daily mass. It just makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time on it a day, but it's freed me up. I have more time now than I ever had. So that's what it did to me. And that's why you don't see me post a lot on social media. It's like, I just like to enjoy now the family and be good for friends and helping other people. I bring my product, the O2 Trainer. We're 4 months overdue. And now this week it might be done as the new model comes out, and it took such a long time. And all my money is invested in that, every dollar I had. So now I really hope that I'm right, because pulmonologists are now buying it for people for their COPD and asthma patients. That's a good sign. I'm going to get all their reviews also. So you see, that's what I really enjoy. So then going to like a love affair or something, if I can steer away from it, I would do that, because it's
have the other act to be it. Yeah. You said your parents were very conservative. Were they religious?
We stopped going to church when we were 12 years old, around that age. But when I saw a book where we got born, the one cell, we come from one cell. That you see, this, to me, that's laughable when people think that. And maybe that was it. A science book, maybe that's made them stop. I never really asked them, but nobody knows, nobody realizes that I am in the faith. The only thing will say, dude, you calm down so much, I don't hear you swear anymore. That's the only thing, and I'm not that guy who constantly says, oh, John 3:16, no good. I don't do that. I just like to live by the rules that I think we should live, by truth, just by truth. That's what I'm saying.
What?
We can do that, and this whole stupid stuff that goes on you can't say anything anymore. Poor comedians. I mean, they're losing their jobs because if they say one thing, it's a racist, you're a bigot, you're a homophobe, everything. And I go, dude, it's not. It's a joke. Blast Ricky Gervais. The way he doesn't care and just goes. And Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
I mean, he just goes. It's comedy. Let him do that.
Yeah.
Bad about me, but roasting me, I would never get angry.
Yeah.
It's comedy. That's what they're supposed to do.
Plus, you can beat them up anytime you wanted anyway, so it's all good. What like you said 6 years ago, like was there a certain thing that drew you to, Catholicism or Christianity or Jesus? Like what if you don't mind me asking, is that okay?
No. It's good, because then I have a little bit of an idea, because I was always the same. I was the same. If they asked Catholicism, my pedophile priest was the first thing I said, because we're hurt. We just repeat what other people say. We never think. Jesus actually says it's better for you to tie a millstone around your neck and throw yourself in the ocean than to let one of these little ones sin. So that means you're going to hell. It's not going to be a good place if you don't want to do it. Now, what happened with me was I've been attacked by a spirit in my former house 5-6 times. Very scary. Complete. It get past. And it's not a sleep paralysis what people say. No, because then I was completely could look around everything, but my whole body was pressed into the bed. And then I would go out and go, okay, I had to focus. And then I would, at that time I was still using profanity, would draw out, fuck! And then my wife would wake up and go, again? I go, yeah, again. And then I start challenging the ghost. I go, okay, I'm going to go to sleep now do it. Because you're doing this sucker punching thing every time, when I don't expect you coming, I dare you, now come, But then, of course, it never happened again. One time I went to the restroom, I always sit down because I don't have to turn a light on. And I see my wife walking past to the kitchen, and I went back to bed. She's in bed. So I'm running with my gun in the house looking for a person that I just saw. Nobody there. Then I come home with my family one time. This is around 9:30 at night. I'm walking in, and I feel a presence. And I tell my wife, stay here with the kids. She says, what do you mean? I say, I think some people are in the house. Really weird. And I'm going into the living room. And we had a dining area, and there was a kitchen here, and then an open kitchen that connected to the dining area there, and a wall in between. And I thought somebody was on this side. So I started walking here, making a lot of noise. So hopefully that person started doing this, and then I would take a U-turn. I would get him. Now we had around the corner, there was this big doorpost with a thick curtain hanging there, and instead of a door. And suddenly when I start sprinting, coming around the corner, the curtain goes, flop, flew up. So I keep sprinting. There's nobody in the house. You know, people go like, oh, there's the windows open. Yeah, there was a Category 4 hurricane going on. Come on, guys. Yeah. Of course, everything was closed. I just told you I just came home. Then we moved. Then I exorcised that demon, actually. At 3 a.m., I had no clue that Jesus passed away at 3 p.m. And at 3 a.m. is the demonic activity is the highest. Nobody told me that, but somehow I knew that I was standing there at the spot where the curtain flew up because it was always cold and there was a smell there. But later on, we found out that there was a woman who passed away. And I think
in that house.
In that house. And I just said, okay, let's do this now. You know, you got to bring it to my level. I mean, because if I can't hit you, connect, okay, bring it to my level somehow. And I would love to fight this out. Because just waiting the whole time and freaking us out, I said, that's not going to work. And I did that for like 45 minutes. And somehow it never happened again. But we didn't live there for a long time. Anyway, to go back to, I think that woman was just angry towards me because my kids, my wife, everybody saw her. But they were never, I was the only one who got attacked. And that's when I start thinking back. I was a heavy drinker at the time. And I think that she said, hey, dumbass, wake up. Look at your family. You got a family. Now, I'm never an angry drunk. I'm always a happy drunk. But dancing with the kids at night, hey, and music on, is still not being a good dad, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so not that I'm an angry guy. No, always happy. But still, it's not good. So then we moved to a different house, this house. And we woke up the first morning, and my daughter was sleeping upstairs. And I said, how was your first night? And she goes, it was great. I just had a visit from 2 guys.
Your daughter, how old is she at this time? Approximately. What?
Yeah, 17, around that age.
Oh, okay.
And I go, whoa. You mean spirits? And she goes, yeah, spirits. I go, honey, what 2 guys? Well, she said, I don't know, 17, 16 years old. I go, you're not freaking out. And she goes, no, they're really nice. And when I asked them to stop, one kept on playing and pushing on the bat, and but then eventually, he would stop. And I go like to look at my wife, and I run down, and I go on the computer, and if something ever happened in my street here, somebody passed away. 2001, Christmas, it said that 4 kids in a car, 3 boys and 1 girl, took out a spin, and they drove through our wall. And I'm walking outside, and I see where they fixed the hole. 2 boys died, 17 years old. She didn't know this. I didn't know anything. We didn't know anything of this. Now, all that combined, so me, the physical attack, the curtain flying up against seeing the person, trying to exercise, all that stuff. Then one more story tied everything together. So this is really weird. I don't remember a lot from when I was a kid because I took an enormous amount of medication. And what they found out, like for instance, when I had to go to high school, that I was going to the lowest they had. Because I have no memory whatsoever. They found out it was the medication. I stopped the medication for a year, and now they wanted to send me to the best school there was. Because we took the middle, of course, because they said the difference is too big.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sitting at 10 years old, and I don't know why this is. Now I know, because God was planting a seed in me. And I'm staring out the window, and I'm mesmerized by this tree. And I'm just looking. And I hear people, I know they're talking about me, and the teacher suddenly screams, Rutten. I go, what? He goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm looking at that tree. And he said, what about that tree? I go, how did it get there? And he goes, they planted it there, idiot. And I go, yeah, I understand that. But, the tree before that, and the tree before that, and the tree before. And if you go back, where do trees come from? It's so weird. And somehow this stuck in my head. It was crazy. Now, so after all these crazy experiences that I had, I was somewhere and somebody said, hey, Bas, this guy is going to do a talk about how the world came together. Didn't say the word God, no, nothing. He says, you want to sit down? We can sit outside, we can smoke a cigar. We got a freaking cabana, sitting at the pool. I go, sure, drink a Coke, smoke a cigar. And this guy starts his talk by, the leaf fell from the tree, he said. And the leaf now reached its end destination. let's go backtrack that leaf, he said. So it goes back to the branch, and then it goes to the tree before, and it goes to the tree before, the tree before. And I'm sitting there, and I go, I know this story.
Yeah.
Where do I know this from? And then I realized it was when I was 10 years old. So, and then when he was done with the way he said it, how do you say it? Going deeper. That is the name of the book. If you're like, I don't know if there's a God or not, get that book.
Who writes it?
Going Deeper by Leo Severino. And I mean, that was the guy who was speaking. And it was like, holy crap, we're designed. This is not an accident. We're not here. Like I give this example to people all the time. It was fun. I was doing this radio show, and I know he's an atheist, and somebody was talking about that the people were peeing against the church, and the corrosion was there, and it was hurting the church. So I heard that, and I walked in. I go, wow, they can't pee against the church. And I know he's an atheist. So he goes, oh, you believe that crap? I go, yeah, I believe it. He said, okay, explain to me why. I said, okay, let me explain to you. We don't talk about irreducible complexity. He said, what do you mean? I said, okay, imagine we land on Mars right now. And for the sake of this argument, we don't know what a clothespin is. Somehow we can land on Mars, but we don't know what a clothespin is. Just hey, go with it. He says, yeah, cool. So imagine this astronaut is walking through the sand there, and he bounces up to something, and he sees a clothespin. And he grabs it, and he goes, look at this thing. If I squeeze it, the other side opens up. I can put things in between. Oh, this is weird. Would you think that he says, over like the last billion of years, there was a storm and some piece of wood got cut and into symmetrical little shapes. They fall next to each other, and boom, suddenly it's a ball of iron, and it starts spinning around, and it becomes a coil, and it coils up, and somehow it attaches in between those two perfectly symmetric things, and there you have the clothespin. Or do you think he's going to say, somebody put it there?
Yeah.
Everybody's going to say, somebody put it there.
Yeah.
Well, that's 3 pieces to make it work. DNA, eyeball, 2 million parts. If 10,000 of them, one of them is off, it doesn't work. So all the body, that is coincidence. But the 3 parts with the clothespin, you say that's designed.
Yeah.
And that got to me. I go, okay. Yeah, because it's really amazing. And if you go back, to me, it's more easy to allow myself to think that we are created than to, because I'm a deep thinker.
Sure.
And imagine that you, the human, where did it start? It had to be in the ocean, right? So at least it can get the nutrition from the ocean, from the water, okay? So what does it start? Does the skin come first? How did the skin survive? It need to be veins.
Yeah,
but wait a minute, it needs to be a heart for the veins in order to operate. When did the bones come in? Once you start breaking this down, you go like,
yeah.
I mean, it's insanity. Sure, it's 1 billion years ago, and I can understand all that. But that to me sounds way more far-fetched than to have an entity who said, boom, there's a human, boom, there's chicken or the egg. What was there first?
Yeah.
No, it was the chicken. God created a chicken. He didn't create an egg. He said, boom, there's a chicken. You see? So to me, that's much more understandable to appreciate, to accept. Then we come from one cell, and everything came out of this one cell. To me, that is madness.
I heard
scientists are actually also saying the same thing right now, because a lot of Einstein was a big believer as well.
Yeah, I heard someone once say that it takes more faith not to believe in God than it does to believe in God.
Yeah.
And when I really think about that, I actually agree. I'm a believer myself, so I'm a Christian. I'm Protestant, not Catholic, but it's the same Jesus, same Savior, same Savior.
Yeah. It's all good, and it's and just live like that. Don't you want to be like that guy? They say, what is a man? I do these talks about what it is to be a real man. And nowadays, if a guy who's 17 years old, he says, I'm going to save myself for marriage, he's going to be the laughing stock.
Sure.
Everybody's going to laugh at it, right? Well, he's the strongest guy because he can say no to certain things.
Absolutely.
And when you start thinking of it, people say, we suffer because we sin. I said, that's completely backwards. You suffer because you don't want to sin. So that means if you're in a relationship and there's a beautiful girl offering herself, say no to them at that moment, saying no, that is suffering for you.
Sure.
You want a drink? Yeah. You want 3 more drinks? Obviously, no. Saying no to that at that moment, that's suffering for you. You see what I mean? So, and I started thinking about this thing, and then I realized, okay, what is it to be a real man? Well, that's a guy who can overcome his weaknesses, vices, and imperfections. A guy who's not a slave to his passions and desires, but a real man who is in control of himself.
Yeah.
Now, really listen to that line. Don't you want to be that guy?
Sure.
Right? I mean, I would love to be that guy. You know, humility. People say, "Oh, humility's got a lot of humility." It's living in accordance with the truth. That's what it means. But if you say humility, you're seen as a weakling immediately. You know. It's the whole idea that we're praying all day long and, oh God, did it go to turn the other cheek? No, that's not with me. I see something and see the woman gets hit. Trust me, I'm jumping in. I will take care of that crap. You see, so just open your eyes, think a little bit more than what other people say. Don't just repeat what others say because it's so stupid. And like I said it myself. I did the same things myself until I just opened my eyes. And now I give everybody a chance. You know, here's a situation. I don't face, to me, everything is a blank stem cell. That's why I say it, an umbilical cord stem cell. Because the stem cells from yourself already have an identity. The umbilical cord, if you do that, they go into your body and they see you and they make a copy, right?
Yeah.
So I say, like an umbilical cord stem cell. It has no identity. Because little things, you know, I really think about these things. So imagine you're driving 5 years ago and there's this guy in a big truck with the big tires and he's cutting people off and he goes, okay, that just seeing that can already make you think in the future every guy with a big truck is an asshole.
Absolutely. That's a good point. Yes, I 100% get what you're saying. That's right.
And especially if it happens one more time, even if it's in 10 years and there were hundreds of trucks who didn't do it, now you're an asshole.
That's right.
You know, and you also don't know if he's cutting in. Maybe his mother is in the hospital. His kid is in the hospital. Maybe he's just got an accident.
Sure.
Why would you get angry? Why would you try to stop him? You don't know the situation. Don't try to stop him. You see, so once you start breaking those things down, I go, oh, you know, I've been bad with friends of mine that, you know, I believed one guy and then I found out later on it was not. He was wrong. The other guy was right. So from that moment on, I said, no, now I'm going to listen to both parties and they need to be both here. You know, I don't make a decision. I don't judge. Because if somebody's drunk or does something crazy, you think I'm going to judge me.
Yeah.
On the planet, you know, we'll never do that. You know, everybody, and you don't know why they're doing it. Something might have happened that triggered the whole event. And don't base his whole life on that one little thing that he did. That's what people need to see. You know, cops. All the cops are bad. Maybe 1% or 2%. That's.
I don't think it's even that high. I don't think it's even that high.
But you see what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Trust me. We'll talk off air. Trust me. Yeah, I heard Billy Graham once said, it took me 75 years to build my reputation, but it took me 75 seconds to lose it.
100%. It's a restaurant, you know. You go, you build them up. It's one bad meal. That's it, dude. If it's a name guy, you just lost your restaurant. People don't give second chances. Unless it happens to them and then they suddenly go, what would people think? Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
This is something I always do. Put yourself in the other shoe. Always do that, you know, because then you know, okay, I wouldn't like that. Don't base everything on one little thing. Politics, look at how.
Yeah.
You can't say you're left or right because 50% of Americans are going to hate you.
That's absolutely right. Yeah.
It's like an opinion.
That's right.
I keep telling you, what is your favorite color? You go green. I said, that's not a good color. You got to be blue. And what do you mean? I said, I want it to be blue. No, I want you to have a blue as your favorite color. You see, now we laugh about that.
Yeah.
But if I won't make it political,
you're right.
It's an opinion. Now suddenly there's people who push their kids out of the family, who stay away from their brothers and sisters because they're on the other side. It's madness to me. That people think like that. We just believe different things. Don't base everything on that. Guys, that's the answer, right?
The world would be a much better place if we extended to grace a lot more. And I mean, it goes back to Jesus' golden rule, you know, treat people how you want to be treated, you know.
That's number one rule, right? Love God above everything else, whole power, might, and everything. Second rule, the most commandment, like you said, treat people like you want to be treated. Like I have treated you, he says also.
Yeah.
That would happen.
I was talking to a partner I do, a recap show, and we were talking about Rose Namajunas. Obviously, she just won the title, but one of the big headlines heading into that was her comments about communism, and then there was a lot of hate on her.
Yeah.
I think it was very insensitive comments at the time, going against a very respectful fighter in Weili Zhang. But you know what I said? I'm going to extend her grace. She had a moment. I'm not going to hate her forever. I'm going to extend her grace. I'm gonna look at her character that I've seen over the years and judge that more than one stupid comment in one interview.
And dig into her life. See what happened to her.
That's my point. If we extend grace, because I've said stupid things in my life, things I wish I didn't say, things even if I didn't mean it, but that doesn't. There's some people things I say that's probably evil, but that doesn't characterize totally me, you know?
Yep.
And if we gave each other grace more, we'd be in a much better world.
Right now, you're guilty, whatever. It's not guilty, you're not innocent until proven guilty, you're guilty now.
Yeah.
Until proven innocent. You know, somebody says something about you, whatever it is, especially if a lady or something will make up a story, you know, and the whole Me Too thing. Hey, listen, I'm okay with get bad people, get them. But there's a lot of, now you know, a lot of made it up that will come out later. And what happens to those people? Nothing. Yeah. Well, if a girl, for instance, would say, oh, he raped me, and then you find out it was absolutely not true, she should get the sentence that he was officially going to get. That's what I believe should happen. Because why would you just say that? So you can, imagine the guy's a family, you destroy his entire life.
That's right.
And sure, they go without it's 100% proven that he wasn't there, and whatever. There's always people going to say, when there's smoke, there's fire. You know, you ruined this guy. How many people lost their TV shows?
Yeah.
Or TV because somebody said something?
Think about this, and talking about just in MMA, think about how many guys have taken a tainted supplement and it's proven that what they took was not their wrongdoing, and forever they're still categorized.
Yeah.
You know, like a Yoel Romero. People still call him steroid. I'm like, well, it was proven that he took his tainted supplement. It's not his fault. Now, it's just how it is. It's just how it is. Once it gets out in the news, once it's spoken, like you were talking about earlier, once it's spoken, it doesn't get brought back.
To me, some fighter said, oh, he's using steroids because when I was fighting him, I was using steroids and he was stronger than I was. And you know what I said? It's genetics, dude, and it's the way I train. It's all different bull. Put me on a lie detector test. You're going to pay for it, though. If I pass it, which I will, you're going to pay for it. But let's put a bet down. I would love to do a bet. Do a lie detector test to me if I ever used. That is for the losers, I always say. Yeah. I could never look at myself in the mirror brushing my teeth and saying, yeah, I cheated.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe it, don't believe it. I don't care if you believe it or not. But that's the way I am. Yeah. I just want to do that. It's not honest. I remember all the way in the beginning with Pancrase, there was another organization, I don't want to mention their name, but they would do a lot of works. And
Rings. You can say it, Rings. Or Shuto, one of them. One of those two. But go ahead.
Shuto was real, but Rings was a lot of works.
Okay, yeah.
And these guys would come back because I knew these guys. And they would go, oh, yeah, man, I won. And then the next time when they came back, I lost, but I had to lose. Yeah, but last time you had to win. I mean, and you don't say that, but now you have lost and now we have to lose. Come on, dude. And I always promised I never want to be that guy. And then this Pancrase came. And they came to the gym. And there were a lot of those people. So what they told me once we started doing Pancrase, one of these guys took me to the side and he says, Bas, there might be that they're going to come and ask you to win or lose the fight. I said, your work? Yeah. I said, I won't do that. I said, what do you mean? I said, I won't do it. Yeah, but you can make money. I said, no. It's either I'm a real champion or not. If I lose, I'd rather lose for real than not. It makes no sense to me. And then I remember the third fight I had. No, my second fight. I was after Fouquet. And Funaki and Suzuki invited me to dinner. Only with us. Not even with my manager. I go, oh, here we go. Right? So we have the whole dinner. They give me a book from Fujiwara, which I told him, I said, this is the dumbest thing you ever could do because now I'm going to submit everybody, which I started doing later. So that was cool. Fujiwara, he's the freaking man anyway. And nothing. They didn't ask me anything. And then suddenly I was in the cab and they waving goodbye. And Funaki looks at me and says, what's going on? What are you thinking about? I go, okay, stop. I say, you're not going to ask me to win or lose? And he goes, I would never do that. I go, well, who said that to you? I said, well, so-and-so said it. He says, Bas, I would never ask you that. And from all these guys, all the fighters, I had Frank Shamrock, I had Murray Smith, you name them, every one of them. One person who said it was Ken, that he had to work one time. All the other guys, 100% guaranteed to me, they never did. So that was always a hard thing for me. And then at the end, of course, because it looks like pro wrestling. And if another organization did it, you see, there's people, again, they already have their mind made up.
Yeah.
And then it starts fake. But that's one thing I said. If that will happen, I would not fight. I'd rather lose for real than to win a title that I didn't win.
Yeah. Well, you won many, many matches. At one point, you had a 22-fight winning streak. Anyways, Bas, I held you way, way longer than I could. But you're incredible to talk to, man. And guys, that's Bas Rutten. Man, I was blown away with all the things he told me. Bas, we got to do this again.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
You know, and it was not one of those things that, because normally when I bring a podcast out, it's the same stuff, you know, comes out, because I can go on Wikipedia, you can find it all there, you know, but at least we talked about different stuff, and that's fun, always.
Absolutely. Guys, stick around. I'm talking to Gina Mazany next. All right, guys, we're at our second segment of this week's MMA Past, Present, and Future. I'm talking to a lady that I haven't had a chance to talk to yet, so I'm really excited to spend some time with her. She returns to action this Saturday at UFC 262, which is live in Houston, Texas, in front of a full crowd. She is taking on Priscila Cachoeira. She is danger herself, Gina Mazany. Gina.
Hello.
How's it going?
Man, life is good. Life is good. I'm genuinely living the dream, so couldn't ask for more.
Yeah. So let's get into it. So I was watching some your interviews from your last fight, and you were saying, "Hey, I'm going to be ready. I want to jump right back in there. I'm going to Abu Dhabi. I'll be on weight in case someone falls out." And then you fight 6 months later. Like, what happened?
It'd be like that sometimes. You know, nothing. I stayed ready. I'm always prepared. I'm always training. Luckily, my fiance, he fights as well, so it's like we're kind of always in camp. I stayed ready, but nothing came up, no opportunities quite yet. But it'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah.
So, but I'm excited. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have another opportunity to have fun and get a fist fight.
And you come from a camp that is known for taking the fight on insane short notice. I mean, the leader of your team showed up to corner another opponent and then took a fight like the next day. Like that's what is that really like the reputation of your team? Is that really what you guys do? What's the deal?
You know, and that's one thing I moved camps. James Krause, man, he's the man. He's an amazing coach. But yeah, he kind of instills that in us when it's like, I understand, like you fight, you're in a fight camp. But after the fight, you pop back in there. Like we're always in shape. We're always ready, because not only for ourselves, but it's like we're a team, and so you got to help out your teammates and whatnot. So it's not far off that we will jump in short notice or anything like that. But yeah, that's kind of the jam at Glory. So it's
now when you say you've changed teams, you mean it from like recently you changed to Glory, correct?
Yeah, well, this is my second fight with Glory. Yeah. But it's, honestly, it was such a big transition. Like I moved homes, I moved coaches, I moved states, I moved season. We have seasons here in Missouri. Like,
that's right.
So much has changed. Went from one of the biggest fight meccas in the world to a little small town in Missouri. And it's been awesome. It's been great. Yeah. I love it.
So what is the deal with that team? Because I do a recap show, and one thing we do a like we call it the Bulls and the Bears, but it's basically saying whose stock rose. And in the last couple of weeks, I mentioned Glory, and I'm like, this was a team that was not that long ago was considered a small team, and it's like every single week you got guys out there winning. Like, what are you guys doing so different that one, you guys are winning, but two, that you're attracting people to come to you guys?
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. I think we have 15 active UFC fighters right now, and it's crazy to think about. I think the thing that we do differently is that I've noticed is that we have a coach who's also an active UFC fighter, but he's really good about holding us accountable and holds us to a standard. And he's the kind of guy that you want to like. You want to make him happy, you know what I mean? Like he works just as hard. Actually, he works hard. I feel like he works harder than us in the sense of like him as a coach. Like I had a one-on-one with him this morning. I came in, he was watching tape. He had literally a paper with a list of things that, I did my previous fight that he liked, stuff he'd like to change, watch my opponents, what will work with her. He's just a nerd of the game, and he's good at it. And it's really inspiring, and it makes you want to work more. It makes you want to work harder because he shows different ways of how to get better. And if you've noticed, like the past couple of weeks, like our guys have had, we've had tough opponents, and James is really good about bringing that grit and grind out. And it's wild. It's the way that the Glory has just taken off is really freaking cool.
Yeah,
I'm glad to be part of it.
Yeah, it's funny because it was just like a couple of years ago. We're like, oh yeah, and then you got like, you know, James Krause and Tim Elliott, whatever that team is called. Like, what is that called? You know, James Krause's team. And now it's like every single week, Glory MMA, Glory MMA Fitness, like another Glory MMA guy. Then you get people added to it. It's absolutely sensational. No, you said that James is a nerd. That's what happens when you're a head coach. All the head coaches, they're nerds. They take notes. They're on top of it. Are you like, how active are you with that, or is it simply just him?
So it's changed a lot. So I used to be the kind of person where I never watched tape on my person. It gave me too much anxiety and it just made me worried. But then I was like, and he expressed it to me where it's like, hey, like these feelings are normal and you're always going to have these feelings. So let's be homies with those feelings. So, I nerd out about it a lot more. Like I watch a lot more tape, not on just my opponent, not on just myself, but other fights. Like fight nights are, you know, watching the UFC fights. It's also a practice. It's a study. It's seeing what people are doing, what people aren't doing, how much things have changed. You know, it's like how the game evolutionizes. You know, it's crazy how much the game has changed year by year, and I think it's really great because we all nerd out about it, and we all we want to stay relevant because we want to be successful. But yeah, I'm turning into a nerd.
Yeah. So when you're sitting down on the couch, and you keep saying your fiance, if people don't know who you're talking about Tim Elliott, you know, former UFC Flyweight title challenger. He's currently in the UFC. He's got a fight coming up himself. When you and him are sitting down, or you and him and maybe the coach or whoever, you're sitting down, like when you're watching the fights, does like when your weight class come up, are you taking more notes then? Are you looking over the whole division, or is it just like, I'm looking at the best people and taking notes on them? I see Kamaru Usman, I see, you know, whoever. I'm trying to study them, or is it more towards your division?
I definitely focus more on my division and like my weight classes, even the men's, like the men's flyweight, the men's bantamweight, women's flyweight, women's bantamweight. Just because I feel like the fighting style is a little more relevant to like my size, I guess. Sure. But of course, you have to watch the best, you know what I mean, and see what they're doing, because it's sparkly and pretty, and how can you not miss it, you know? But yeah, it's definitely like for me and Tim, like when we watch the flyweights, those are potential opponents, and you know, so it's, you know, you got to study it, and like watching it then and live, it's and you don't know what's going to happen. You watch it differently, because then you like, you know, maybe I can fist fight with her one day. So it's it's pretty cool.
Do you root, like when you watch fighters, you know, obviously you're rooting for your teammates, but like other ones, you watch the fight, are you rooting for somebody, or is it simply like, I
mean, some like when Rose fought past weekend, I was really rooting for her, you know, like I'm so happy to see her successful, just because I feel like she's a normal human, in the sense of like, she's had the high ups and she's had the low downs, and she's, you know, taken some time, and she's, you know, done the thing, and it's nice to see her do well again, you know. It's nice to see her, like, you know, be low and you know, go through those, because we all do that, you know, but then there's the people like Valentina, like she's I'm gonna say, like, she's perfect, you know what I mean? And to me, like, she's not normal human, like she's just like,
she's Valentina Shevchenko.
Yeah, like she's just savage, and like whatever she does. But Zephyr, sorry, my dog is whining at the door.
That's fine, because right underneath my feet, you can't see right now, is my dog, and I just keep praying, like, don't make a noise.
Oh my gosh, she's sitting at the door.
The dog will stay outside like half the day, or pretty much the entire day, and then I have an interview, and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing? Let me bother you." Right?
Isn't that weird how it works out? You know, kids. But I like to root. I like to root for certain people. It's I feel like, especially watching them over the years, and like how they've done the damn thing. Like it's cool. Like Angela Hill, I'm a big fan of. Like I like seeing her. You know, I admire her like her hood ratness of being like, yeah, I'll take this fight. You know, she does the James Krause thing, where she takes a fight at short notice and just will fight whoever. And I think it's cool. So it's funny, because I used to not be such a fan of the sport, and since moving to Missouri, I think I'm a little bit more of a fan, because we're just very indulged in the sport. It's kind of hard not.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of fighters you mentioned, which I'll tell you my take on them, why they're liked so much. Well, Rose Namajunas is liked so much by so many fans. I think it's just because she's so open. She has her heart on her sleeve, and I think people get attracted to that honesty. Valentina Shevchenko, why she's so popular, people love greatness. It's why Michael Jordan, why Tom Brady, why Tiger Woods, why these people love enjoying greatness, dominance.
Yeah.
And then Angela Hill just seems like your homie. Like you could hang out with her.
Yeah. It's cool. They're just cool, just great humans, you know. And I like to watch, and that's aside from all my teammates and stuff. Of course, like I root so hard for my teammates.
Of course.
I have friends back in like my old team in Vegas that I'm heavily rooting for. One of my girlfriends is fighting in the PFL tonight, Taylor, and I'm excited for her. And it's just, you know, it's a crazy game. This fighting world I jumped into.
Yeah, it is, and it's such it has grown over the years, but it's still a very small knit community. Everyone has connections somehow. Whether you fought someone, you're friends with someone, you're trained with someone, you used to wrestle in college with somebody. Like there's always something, you know. Or even the people I've heard people say, "Well, I'm a student of Renzo Gracie. This guy's also a student of an affiliate of Renzo Gracie, so I root for Renzo Gracie's team." You know, so you always hear this.
Right. Yeah.
So let's go back to your last fight, and we're gonna talk about your current fight, but your last fight, I think it was the best performance of your career. You took on Rachael Ostovich, and why I think it's the best performance of your career is we saw the stand up. You were landing. I thought you were landing the hardest shots, but also you added in wrestling. Like we had a little bit of everything. How would you assess your performance?
So, I definitely hands-on best performance to date. I was able to show everything. And that's my fights in the past. Like I just didn't. I don't think I think I've always been good at fighting. I'm just not an organized person, and that's what James has really helped me out with a lot. And it's mixed martial arts, and you have to do everything, and you got to mix it together. And just the way we train here, you're forced, but you have to mix it together. And I think that's what helped me so much in that fight. And not to mention Rachel's a tough chick, and she helped make the fight really good. You know, like she kept coming back. So it's that was so much fun. I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, and I think when a fighter mixes up performances, mixing in takedown, mixing in striking, I think it also opens up the openings. You know, if you keep getting takedowns, then they gotta start dropping their hands a little bit, then your power shots landing. And vice versa. You start landing shots, they're worried about your takedowns. You keep jabbing in the face, suddenly they're gonna change, and then all of a sudden your takedowns are there. So when you and James look at film and he's going over your last performance, you feel like an employee going in front of their boss and like getting an evaluation? Like is there any nerves when he's breaking down your film?
No, I love it. I feel like what it makes me feel like is like, we'll make this equivalent to like I'm going to a hairdresser. Okay. And this hair like, okay, girl, I'm gonna do your makeup, I'm gonna do your hair, we're gonna do your nails, like we're gonna make you so ready for your fight night, you know? So it's like I'm excited. Like I love hearing his perspective because I can break myself down and beat myself up all day. But a lot of the times with that, I can find what I did wrong, but I'm like, where's the solution in all this? You know what I mean? And so James always comes with, he goes, this, I like that you did this, but let's do this next time, you know? So it's, he helps like you tweak everything, you know? So I love it. I really, 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 really enjoy one-on-ones, breaking down film, all that kind of
Now is he more like a positive takes, or is he tougher? Like is he like what's his style?
You know, I wouldn't even say it's positive or negative. It's just straight up and it's real. It's just kind of like, this is what it is. Like and I appreciate that he's like, he'll tell me if I'm doing crappy, or he'll tell me if I'm doing great. You know, he's very, very honest. And I think that's what's really important in a coach. Like you have to be honest with your athlete. For me, especially, like I'm a very critical person, and I overthink things, and but I need someone on the outside to reel me back in and just tell me how it is. Like, I just want to know the truth because I want to be the best that I can possibly be. And unfortunately, I can't do all that. I can't figure out all the solutions for it because I'm the fighter. Like, I'm just supposed to fight somebody. So, he's not positive or negative. He's just straight up, which is, for me, is perfect.
Yeah. Now, when you're breaking down film with each other, is he helping you pick your next opponent? Like, who influences, like, opponent selection?
So it's funny. When we decided we're going to 125, I remember we were in Mexico. We went on like a little family vacation with him and his wife, me and Tim, and we were sitting out there and we're having coffee in the morning, and he had like a full list, and I have my own list. And that's when he brought up when he brought up Rachael, and he's like, "What about Rachael?" And I was like, "Oh, she wasn't even on my list." But he's like, "I like this fight for you, blah blah blah, like whatever." So honestly, I leave it all to James and my management, Jason House with Iridium. Like, they're awesome. And the thing is like I said, my job is I'm a fighter, and I'm just gonna work hard, and I'm gonna do what you say. Like, I'm a drone. Like, fly me, tell me what to do, tell me who to fight, and I'll do it, because I know for a fact that Jason and James, they want nothing more than for me to be successful. Because if I'm successful, then they're successful. So it's, but my job as a fighter is not to find my opponents. It's just to fight. So
absolutely,
I'm grateful to have those two to like look and help gear me into the right direction of how to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. So you started at 135, and I know you've went all the way up to 155 in your career, but in the UFC you were up, you were at 135. Mm-hmm. But you also got matched up against like some really big 135ers. Like Macy Chiasson is, like, I don't know how she's a huge girl, and I don't mean that insulting. I mean, I don't know how she makes the weight class. But did you feel a difference at 125? Like, you feel like, man, I should have done this a long time ago.
Yes, absolutely. Like, it's crazy. I think I would like to say I'm stronger than the average bear, and I don't know why that is. I personally think it's because I grew up I grew up in Alaska, and nothing but like fresh game that my dad hunted and caught and all that fun stuff. But anyways, but yeah, the girls at 135 walk around 160, 170 pounds usually, and they're 5'7" and above. I'm 5'6" on a good day. And so moving down to 25, like, it's hard. I definitely have to diet, but I found abs I never knew I had, which is really cool. But I remember when I first got a hold of Rachael, I was like, this is fantastic. Like, I feel like a monster. Like, I feel like if I train with other 125ers, I'm like, I feel good at this size. So I'm so glad I moved down.
What you ever it's Kansas City can be really cold, January, February. All of a sudden you're wearing like a half shirt and people are like, hey, it's January. I'm like, yeah, but I got abs now. Like, you ever feel like I got to show them off at any time of the year?
Gloves, sweatpants, let's go. But I got to show them off.
So let's talk about this next matchup. You got Priscila Cachoeira. I feel like she's been in a similar range where you are. Like, you've won some, you've lost some. She's kind of been the same career in the UFC. Like, how do you feel you guys match up?
I think it's a great matchup for me. I think it's going to be a great fight to possibly get a bonus. I don't know. But she's tough. She looks like she hits hard. She's a zombie. She just walks straight forward. She's a gamer, she wants to fight. And I think that's a great matchup for me in the sense that I'm a gamer. I tend to walk forward. But the nice thing is, like, I think my striking's improved quite a bit. But also with that, I feel like my wrestling has also improved, and my ground game is pretty good. That's not really her jam to get down to the ground. I really feel like if I can get my paws on her, that it'll be in my favor. It'll make the fight a little bit easier for me. Not easy, but I think it's a great fight. I think it'll be a fun, exciting fight. I think having the fans is just gonna
get you.
Man, I'm so excited. But yeah, I think it's a good matchup. And I think the interesting thing about this one, and no offense to Rachael, but she didn't have like much of a huge danger factor.
Sure.
But, she's got a good ground game. Like, if she were to pop on my back or something.
You're talking about Rachael.
Rachael Ostovich, yeah. Like, didn't have a major danger factor. Priscila has a danger factor. Like, she knocked out Shayna Dobson, her last opponent. So that is something to look toward. But with that, it's hard to swing big, heavy punches when you're fighting somebody who's predominantly a wrestler, which I would consider. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of a wrestler, but I like mixed martial arts. I do it all.
But Rachael wants to get the fight to the ground. That's her game.
Yeah, and it's so that was her danger factor, but it's like, getting knocked out like sucks. So
yeah,
speaking from but that's her danger factor. And but if fighter A versus fighter B, taking myself personally out of it, I think I'm just a little bit more well-rounded than she is.
Does it keep you? Is there an advantage by her being dangerous? Like, kind of keeps you more focused than you can. Like, you could have moments against Rachael where you said you're not as worried, dangerous. Like, you fight a girl like Cachoeira, we saw her the last fight. She catches one big shot. This could be the end of the fight. Does that make you like really focused throughout the entire fight?
To be honest, I feel like I'm focused on if I fight anybody. It doesn't matter who she is. And that's the thing I really try to focus on this camp is like, it don't matter who she is. It doesn't matter what camp she's at. It doesn't matter who she's knocked out. It doesn't matter. All it matters is like how I'm going to step in there on May 15th. You know what I mean? It's
sure.
All that matters is how I'm going to perform, because it's my fight to win or lose, And so the danger factor's already there, but like I've knocked people out in the gym before, so it's not too far-fetched for me to knock her out, Sure. I think I have a big danger factor as well. Like, my middle name's Danger.
That's right.
But it's I think I'm always focused. I'm a very
You'll be focused. You'll be focused as long as she doesn't have the same perfume as Rachael Ostovich had.
It felt so nice. It felt so nice. So funny. Did you hear that?
I heard you say that in another interview, and I was like, I'm not gonna like. I'm sure all the perverts on MMA would be like, whoa, what does this smell like? What does Rachael smell like?
You tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. I remember I took her down. First I took her down in the first round. And I remember thinking, God, that was like easier than I anticipated. And then I was like, God, smells good. And I was like, Gina, you're fighting her. Beat her up. And then I didn't smell anything from then on out. But
that's one of my favorite stories. Have you ever fought any other girls that like smelled like perfume? Is that like a normal thing?
I don't think I have. But what's the crazy thing? And this I've talked about this I was talking about with my dad actually today. But like in the Rachael fight, all my senses were on fire. I've never had so much like. I remember everything from that fight. I've had fights in the past. I remember glimpses of it, glimpses in the corner. Yeah. I remember went to the corner with James. I remember my walkout like it was yesterday. I remember most of the fight where I was just like all my senses were firing, even my smell.
Yeah.
Big broken nose. But oops, sorry.
Yeah,
oh gosh, there.
You're good. Nope, you went away. Oh wait, 1 second. There, yeah, we're back.
Okay, cool. My bad.
One thing I gotta add, so the ninja toe kick to the liver, you said that's something you do a lot. Have you ever been kicked really bad in the liver before?
Julia Alvia, that's what she dropped me after.
Oh yes, you're right. I apologize. You're right.
And that sucked. That was such a bummer.
Tell us, because so I used to fight myself, and I've been hit in the liver, and there's nothing worse than it. Like, tell the person who's never experienced, like, what is going through your mind when that happens?
People don't understand that. It's like literally, the whole fight or flight thing that people talk about. It's straight up flight. Like your body shuts down. Like I remember she hit me in the liver, and I covered up, and everyone was like, "Oh, you're giving up, this and that." I'm like, no, like my body just shut down. Like, that's right. I was up, and I remember I got to the ground, and I remember the ref came over, and I remember seeing his like black rubber glove, and he's like, Gina, are you? Or he's like, "You're okay, whatever, you're okay." And I was like, like I couldn't, like it just, my whole body shut down. It's the worst. And the fact that like I kicked Rachael, and mind you, like the ninja toe is like, it's very stabby. It's very
sure.
It's very, very stabby. And I got her with it. I got on top of her, and she stood up. Like, what? She's so tough. She stood up, and I did it again, which was fantastic. But it really sucks. It really, really sucks. It's not a fun feeling. And it's one of those things where it's like you get rocked, you can work with it. We've all been kind of rocked in practice. You walk it off. But like getting hit with a liver shot is just awful. It's the worst.
I have one experience I remember very well when I was boxing with a professional boxer, and I came from a wrestling background, and we're doing strictly boxing. And he got me with a shot. And our team was so dumb. This is a long time ago. I'm older than you. This is like about 2006-ish, 2005, 2006. And our team, anytime someone got knocked down, it's so dumb. We would be cheering. We'd be like, get back up. Like, we'd knock each other through the ropes. Like, we did 100% sparring all the time. Sometimes we never wear headgear because you're...
Old days.
Oh yeah, because back in those days, like shootbox was the camp, and that's what you heard. So we tried to do the same thing. And I remember this boxer caught me with a body shot, and my team was cheering, and I legit thought I was dying. I thought he hit like my heart, and I grabbed him, not out of like I don't want you hitting me, more like hold me, I'm dying, and my team is cheering.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful. It's miserable. But,
so, one more question I want to ask you. So recently, and I held you up much longer than I said I would. I apologize.
But don't even trip, potato chip.
We've had, couples of MMA, the power couples. We've had the Buys recently fight on the same card. We had the De La Rosas. Any chance you and Tim ever fight on the same card? Is that something you want to do, or is it better to have camps separately, or?
I mean, I'd rather not.
Okay.
Like, I mean, if it wasn't if it were to be a thing and they want it to be a thing, I would probably see if we could get more money for it. Yeah. I don't know, because it's, I don't know, Tim and I, we're also like raising a 6-year-old, you know what I mean? So it's like, he has a daughter, we have her 99% of the time. So it's a lot, like I'm a super stepmom and he's a super dad, and she's doing her thing. She's in school, jiu-jitsu, and like so she does all of her stuff, and then also we train for fights, so it's just a lot, and gratefully so far our fights have been stacked to where it's like, okay, your turn, my turn, like right after my fight we're gonna jump right into his fight, and so I'm gonna have to be on top of my shit to make sure he's okay and taken care of for his fight. But yeah, I mean, we would definitely do it. There was an opportunity one time back during the pandemic, and there was a short notice fight, and he's like, Gina, House just called me about a fight, and I was like my anxiety just hit, and then I remembered, I was like, when these opportunities come, we got to take them. Like we can't just pass them up because it might be hard. Like this sport's hard, so you can't just we would figure it out. But it wouldn't be ideal, but I mean we would still do it, but. Yeah. And
I understand, like, when you're, like, right now, your fight is obviously much closer than his. He's got to play the dad role even more. He's the one who's got to pick the kids up. And then you kind of switch kind of thing. When he's more in camp, he's got more obligations. You kind of have to do the picking up the kid, the making the lunches kind of. Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah. And he's so good about like taking care of me, and then I take care of him and taking care of the kid. And so it's like we just, switch roles, and it's cool. Like we work it out, and it's really hard, but I mean, nothing worth having comes easy. So, I mean, hard work is all we know, and we'll do it.
And if you guys do it, at least let's make it fair and have you say have you guys fight the De La Rosas, so you guys both in the same situation.
Right.
You're both 125, and they're all 120. Like make it even. Like sex for everybody, kind of thing. Which family? We kind of like a Family Feud, UFC style. One last question for you. I always like to ask everyone before they go, and I hold everyone to this. I'm in Vegas. I want to make money. I'm picking Gina Mazany to win. What am I betting on to get my biggest payday?
This is a really great way to put it, because people are like, Gina, how do you see this fight going? I'm like, I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah. I'm no scrub. I'm not. My guess would be second round submission. There you go.
Maybe. I don't know, but I do see a finish. I don't ever fight to just I fight to finish. I want to finish her. I'm gonna finish her. That's my intention.
So there you go. Have it. If make Gina your bet, make it a win by second round submission. And she just said we had a little break right here, so you guys missed it. A little glitch in the Wi-Fi, but she said if you bet on her to get a stop and she wins by decision, she will refund you the money that you didn't get. Just kidding, guys. Just kidding, guys. She did not say that. Ladies and gentlemen, she is Gina Mazany. She returns this Saturday, UFC 262, taking on Priscila Cachoeira. Gina, I wish you good luck in this fight, all future fights. And hey, you keep saying your fiance, when's the wedding?
It's so funny. It was supposed to be back, but the stinking pandemic hit. So hopefully soon. It was what's so funny is I actually told Tim, I was like a week ago, and I was like, we really need to figure out, like, we need to set a date, we need to find a place, and he's like, I'm already on it. And so I guess him and my mom have been figuring it out. So my sweet boy.
Really? It's usually the girl, like the guy has like, shut up, sit on the side, the girl does everything.
I know, but he knows, like, it stresses me out, and I'm like, I just can't decide. I don't want to be the one deciding it. So, and he knows that, and I was really sweet when he told me. He's like, don't worry, me and your mom are figuring it out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'll let you guys know when we get it, but hopefully soon.
And here's the other thing is, make sure you go over to Instagram, follow Gina, and then she's going to raffle, and some lucky fan is actually getting invited to the wedding. That's not true, too. Anyways, guys, we got one more segment. Stick around. We're going to talk to Martinez, who's also fighting this weekend coming up. He's a Contender Series veteran. Stick around.
Have fun.
All right, guys, we are in our third segment of MMA Past, Present, and Future. This guy is a guy I'm really excited to talk to. He's coming off a big win. He's returning May 16th in his home of Houston in Fury FC 46 against Matt Probin. He is Mana Martinez. Mana, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing awesome. Very blessed, as always, and it's great to talking to you.
So the thing that jumps out to me, you train at Metro Fight Team there. It's a booming team. I think since I've been doing this show for a couple months now, you're the third member of that team. What is going on in Houston right now that you guys are just producing stars, man?
The Houston MMA scene's been big for a while now, but our gym, as of lately, this past year and a half, has completely blown up. Like you said, I'm the third person, so the other two have been Adrian Yanez, who's been on a tear, Jacob Silva as well, and then myself, and there's a bunch of other young cats, Cameron Smotherman, Michael as well, a bunch of other guys on the come up as well, and just training together helps us improve day in and day out, and all the time, all the effort that we put in is finally paying off.
Yeah, you're gonna have to tell the coaches and stuff that I'm like your PR guy. They're gonna have to start sending me a check or something. I'm doing the anyways, so How long have you been with the team?
So I started with them right when I had actually just turned 21 years old. I was prior to that I was with karate school, Bushiman, which I'm still currently with, and I'll stop by and train from there time to time. But once I turned 21, in order to take it to that next level and, get where I want to be and improve myself, I decided to take it to Metro, and it's been history since then, and I haven't looked back.
Yeah, and obviously you have a great record. You're only 25 years old. You're definitely on the Houston scene, but you're also on the worldwide scene. I mean, you fought in the Contender Series, got a little experience. Now, obviously, the results did not go how you wanted it, but tell me, like, what did you gain from just getting the experience of being out, at the PI, being around Dana and them?
I gained a lot of, knowledge, of course. Got to fight in my first empty arena without a crowd, so that was a little bit of a change, a different atmosphere to say. So definitely a learning experience there, and as far as the outcome, it didn't quite go my way, but definitely took a lot away from that fight. Learning to never really underestimate my opponent, and go in there and be ready for anything and everything. I didn't quite expect that fight to end up on the ground, and it somehow did. So for any future fight that I have, I'm training for it to go anywhere, and I'll be ready for it to go anywhere.
Yeah. Now, when you get announced now forever, regardless of where you go, whether you go on to be a UFC champion or you retire a year from now, you're always going to be called, Contender Series alumni. Do you feel any different now that you have that underneath your belt?
To be quite honest with you, I don't know, sir. It was so quick there, it was in and out, and I would have loved to have been able to showcase more of my skill set rather than a minute 15 or however long the fight lasted. So I mean, yeah, I was under those bright lights, and yes, I was definitely in the Contender Series, but as far as me feeling like that, I don't quite feel like an alumni, which I wouldn't say anything is wrong with it, but again, I'm very thankful, very blessed for that experience, and I'm even more excited for what's going to happen in a few weeks, actually.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that in a second, but I want to wrap up with the Contender Series for a second. So, obviously you didn't get the results you wanted. That's a crushing blow. You're a fighter, but you're also, obviously, you're a human being first. You feel those emotions. What do you say was the best advice anybody has given you since then?
The best advice was the advice my coach gave to me right after the fight. On the way back, on the drive back to the hotel, even to the hotel room, he said you didn't respect his ground game, which is 100% accurate. Every single fight I studied of his was either, a stand-up fight or hardly any ground game. So I didn't quite expect it. Maybe I did underestimate it or I didn't quite respect it. And it showed, the consequences were there. I didn't quite walk away with the win or the contract. So it was definitely that. And from here on out, even my last fight, the guy that I had previously beaten twice, I didn't go in there and take him as light as I maybe could have, or, acted like I did beat him twice before. I took him in there as if he was going to come there, try and take what I've worked for. So from here on out, I'm training as hard as I can day in, day out, and not underestimate anybody.
Yeah. Now, which coach talked to you about that?
It was my main coach, Coach Saul.
Okay.
Very, very experienced.
Yeah, he's been around a long time.
Vet of the game, of course. Has coached multiple world champions. A lot of UFC vets, top level guys. So that was definitely some great advice from him.
Yeah, and he's been around the sport a long time. I remember when he was like the main guy over with Tito Ortiz and now he's got a new, I shouldn't say new team, but new crop of fighters, all young up-and-coming guys in Metro. So definitely a good guy to get advice for, because who's experienced the ups and downs like him? He obviously has. So let's talk about returning, Fury FC. You got Matt Probin. You guys were supposed to fight in April, but now it's got pushed back in May. What exactly happened with that?
It was just a little bit of, timing. I think I'm not sure if it's my management or, my coach who came together for the decision, or maybe even the promoter, but they would have much rather have that fight in front of Dana, which is going to be an exciting fight. So I'm super stoked to not only fight in front of my hometown, my family and friends again, but in front of Dana. So
because it's part of the looking for a fight. Yeah, I apologize. I actually forgot about that.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, it's been confirmed that he'll be there after the UFC fights on Saturday night. So it's going to be exciting. I know they most likely held it off for that reason.
Sure.
And, there's no problem with that.
Yeah, it makes sense. Obviously, he knows who you are now. You have an exciting moment. You could get a contract or something like that. Talk about your opponent. And your opponent's got a good record. He trains up. We're in my area, New England. He's going down to Houston. What do you know about him? What do you think of him as an opponent? How you feel you match up?
He looks like a tough, seasoned veteran. A lot of Muay Thai background. But, of course, like I just mentioned and said, that makes no difference because the fight could end up on the ground.
That's right.
And I'll definitely be ready for that.
But, I was testing you, see if you're going to say that.
Yeah. No, yeah. So, like I said, he's seasoned. Looks like he's been in the Bellator cage before. And it's going to be an exciting fight. I'm going to go in there and, like I always say, put on a show and, have fireworks, of course, as always.
Yeah, now you're a guy, you're known for your punching power. That's kind of, when I do the Contender Series previews, that's one of the first things I said is, this guy can crack. I'm assuming that's where even though you're talking about that it could go to the ground, are you, he has a Muay Thai style, are you, inviting that? Is that what you want? You want a stand-up battle?
I'd be more than happy to do that. If he wants to, stand toe-to-toe in the middle of the octagon or the cage with me, I'd be more than happy to do that. I don't plan on ever falling first, and I don't see myself falling first, so I'm more than game to keep it standing.
Now, with Dana in attendance, do you feel like you have to get a finish, or you be trying to chase a finish more, or is it you just going to let it see what happens kind of thing?
ultimately, every fight, that's what I chase is a finish. I've seen way too many robberies, way too many opponents or fighters, I should say, try to leave it to the judges' hands, and they get screwed over, and it's something I never want to experience, and I don't plan on experience. So every fight, standing or on the ground, I'm looking for a finish. Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. Do you have a prediction of what's going to happen?
No specific prediction, no sir, but I do have 7 wins by TKO or KO, so I can definitely see the 8th one being TKO or KO, and so I plan in there and going on doing.
Yeah, now obviously the betting odds would be on that, being that you do have a track record of getting not only knockouts, but you get some early, you get some quick ones too. There's a lot of first round knockouts in your record. Yeah,
I love to get in, get out. The last fight was 60 seconds, and after the fight, I was just telling my family and friends, that's my whole goal is just to try and do that every time, not get touched, in, out, boom, come home with a nice win, and get ready to do it again next month, the month after, or however long is needed to get back into the cage.
Now, you talked about your management team. You got a great management team, Iridium Sports, Jason House. You got a great team, a red hot team. You got teammates who are fighting in the big leagues, UFC, Bellator. You got a great coach. That said, would you be satisfied if you get a win, but Dana says, you know what, this kid's only 25. He's got a lot of promise, but let's not rush him. Let's get him on the Contender Series in summertime. But would you be satisfied if he didn't give you a contract right away?
Of course I wouldn't be satisfied with it, knowing the hard work and all the time I've put in with it. But if that's what he feels like is needed, then that's what will need to be done. And I'd be happy to go back to the Contender Series and show and prove myself that I'm more than deserving to be at the next level. But I'm not having that mindset, to be honest with you. I know what I'm gonna do out there in about 3 weeks, and it's definitely gonna leave him blown and leave no questions asked as to why I should not be signed or
absolutely
a contract that night.
Absolutely, and I'm not trying to speak into existence this happening. I was just
no, sir. Just hypothetically speaking.
Sure.
I understood.
One thing I have to think about: you're fighting in Houston. The UFC will be in Houston. You are on a short list. I mean, you're from the area. 2, you said you're exciting. You have a lot of knockouts. 3, you have the Contender Series, so they know who you are. 4, we just talked about great team, great management team. There's a chance. You know how it is, especially now with COVID and with obviously all the time with injuries. Any chance you think? I mean, are you kind of looking and say, "Hey, shit, like." It's pretty easy for me just to, drive across the city or wherever it is. I don't know whether you are to the arena, but is that in your mind at all?
It's definitely crossed my mind. Don't get me wrong. There's not quite. I don't think there's one single 135 fight on the card, but there might be a couple 45s, and if they happen to fall out, I'd be more than willing to step up at 145. That's an honestly more comfortable weight for me. The 135 being my home, of course, but
sure.
Yeah, I definitely step up, take that fight, and that'd be awesome to fight at the Toyota Center in front of my in front of all my friends and family. But either way, I'm very blessed, regardless, to fight the following night, Sunday, and in front of my friends and family again.
Now, are you one of these guys who do you watch all the fights? Are you one of the guys always every pay-per-view, every weekend? Is that you?
Yeah, for the most part, whether it be a fight night or like this past weekend, the pay-per-view, which is an incredible card, man.
Absolutely.
It really boosted I was hitting a little slump in training, and after that card, hearing the crowd and they were amazing fights. I went in there yesterday, had a great sparring session. Today had an amazing wrestling session. So it's kind of got me back on my high horse and my flow, and I'm ready to finish out this camp and get in the cage and scrap, man.
Yeah, I used to fight way back in the day. You were still probably in elementary school, but yeah, I'd watch a card and I'd see something they did, and all of a sudden it's part I'm trying to do it. Like all of a sudden
you see something there, and then you get that feeling. It's like, oh man, and especially knowing the position I'm in and how close I am to getting there, it's really, gets me going.
Now, I'm assuming, obviously, you're fighting the next day. You're not going to be out late at night going to the event, right?
No, sir. No.
Right.
I think even if I wanted to, I don't think I could because I gotta get in contact with the promoter. But I want to say they still have us quarantining.
Oh, there's a
quarantine.
That
yes,
makes
sir.
sense.
Because they did this past fight, and nobody was allowed out of the hotel.
Yeah.
So. Who fought that night? I think Jean and Izzy fought that night. So we just watched the fights at the hotel. And the same thing will probably happen this next card.
A little bummed at all that you can't be in attendance in your hometown.
Yeah, especially with fighters like Nate Diaz on there. You love to see that guy live.
Sure.
I seen him live at MSG when he fought Masvidal for the BMF title, and that dude puts on a show, and of course Masvidal as well. So yeah, missing out on fighters like him and the rest of the card, it's a little bit bumming, but it's okay. It'll pay off because I get to go in there the next day and put on a show.
Absolutely, and who knows? Maybe the very next time they go to Houston, maybe you're on the main card fighting. Who knows? Or maybe they return to Houston 3 years from now and you're headlining the card. Who knows?
Hey, Houston and wherever in Florida might be the only places open. So if they want to keep coming back,
that's right.
Me, Jacob Silva, Adrian Yanez, the whole Metro team will be ready. Just give us a call.
Yeah, there you go. You had it. We started with the Metro team, and of course, we ended with the Metro team. He is Mana Martinez. Mana, thank you so much, man. I wish you good luck in this fight and all future fights.
I appreciate you a lot. Thank you so much for your time. Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the newest episode of MMA Past, Present, and Future. Obviously, head over to Sherdog.com. Check out all the articles there. Also, head over to Sherdog YouTube page. Like this video. Like all our videos. Subscribe. Do all that good stuff. We'll see you in the next episode.